According to the 2017 America Saves Week survey, 56% of American households with a plan report making great progress toward meeting their savings goals, as compared with 24% of those without a plan. What does this mean? If you have a plan, you're much better likely to achieve your goals. Let's talk about that plan right now. Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I invite you to subscribe and hit that like button. And let's get started. We'll talk about three things today. The first is the importance of knowing yourself. The second is how to create a budget. And the third is actually executing the budget. And then a fourth tip at the end, how to put that budget into hyperdrive to achieve your savings goals faster. Okay, so step one, know thyself. That can be used to sum up this entire step. For when you're creating a budget, you want to be able to look at what your current situation is so that you can tell if you're making progress. It's kind of like getting on the scale and weighing yourself before you start an exercise program. It's going to provide you more motivation if you can see that at one time you were here and now a few months later you're here. You've made this progress. So step one is being able to kind of take inventory of where you are. This can be a little scary, I understand, because sometimes the whole point of not looking at your finances is because you really don't want to know what state they're in. But take the Band-Aid approach and just do it. Sit down, get all your accounts together. For me, the only place that money leaves my personal economy is through my credit cards and my bank account. So if I look at my credit card statements and my bank account, I can see where all my money is going. This is also the part here in step one where you want to ask yourself, why am I doing this? This can be for a range of different reasons. If you're starting out early in your financial journey, you may be at a point where you just say, hey, I need to save an emergency fund. Hey, I need to get this debt under control. Hey, I need to start amping up my retirement savings. Or you may have different goals, which could include you want to save for a vacation, or you want to save for a car or a home. Another financial goal may be that you want to be debt-free, or you want to be financially free where you no longer have to depend on a paycheck anymore because your investments are basically paying for all of your living expenses. And you can use these savings goals as inspiration. Write them down and then post them up somewhere that you can see them on a regular basis and kind of remind yourself, okay, this is why I'm doing this. This is why that I'm taking control of my finances. So when you're looking at your accounts and you're assessing your current spend rate, take a look over the past couple of months, maybe 3 months or so ago, and look at your spend rate across those 3 months and kind of get an idea of how much you're spending per month. And then you're also going to want to get an idea of what expenses that money is going toward. Basically two main areas, and that is the needs, the things you need to buy, like your rent, utilities, your car payment, insurance, groceries, things like that are going to be in your needs. And then you're also going to want to categorize by wants. And this is pretty much everything else. Here we're going to go to step two, and that is actually creating the budget. So there's a popular budget format called the 50-30-20, and you can probably already guess. So 50% of your income that comes in from your paycheck after taxes and everything is taken out, up to 50% of that you want to go towards your needs. 30% of it you want to go toward your wants, and then 20% of it you want to go toward your savings or paying down debt. So the needs, like mentioned before, would be your housing expenses, rent, mortgage, your car payment, insurance, groceries, things like that that you need to basically sustain yourself. And then the wants are pretty much everything else. And then that 20% you want to have left over that you can put aside for savings, and that is really to achieve your goal, whatever your goal may be. Debt-free, emergency fund, whatever it is, that 20%, that's what goes towards that. So at this point, you want to set up your budget and you want to put numbers to that 50%, 30%, 20%. So if you're getting $3,000 a month in your paycheck, then half of that, about $1,500, is going to go toward your rent, your food, your insurance, car payment would all have to fit into that $1,500. Then 30%, maybe about $800, $900 or so, is going to go toward your wants. And that's going to be whatever else you spend money on. If you're going out to dinner, if you are going to the movies, if you have subscriptions that you pay for, like streaming services, any purchases like electronics, a new TV, a new phone. And of course that last 20% of, in this case, the $3,000 in this example, that last 20%, $600, is going to go toward your savings, paying off debt, whatever that goal is that you have, that money would go toward that. So at this point, you write this down, and this becomes your budget. This becomes what you want to try to live inside of. You want this to be achievable. You want this to be within your abilities to live within. The important thing here is to avoid shock treatment. Shock treatment would be if you make your budget too aggressive, and if you're spending $1,000 a month on your wants, and you decide you're going to cut that back to $200 a month, that's going to be too aggressive. And you're very likely to become frustrated and to not be able to keep up with it after just a month or two. You don't want to feel deprived or burnt out trying to live inside your budget. That's going to be very disheartening. And the worst case scenario is just to give up entirely. So the 50%, 30%, 20%, it's a guide. If you're way outside those numbers, part of this is just shaping your budget to slowly get into those numbers. So if you're spending, say, $1,000 on wants, shopping, going to the movies, going out to dinner, maybe you say, okay, for the next few months, I need to bring that back to $800. So you just cut out $200. And for instance, if you're buying lunch every day, you decide, okay, I'm just going to make my lunch for 2 days instead of going out to eat, and you could save, say, $30 a week doing that. And at the end of the month, you've got an extra $100, $120 that you have been able to save in your budget. And once that becomes sort of second nature, you're used to making your lunch now, you're not eating out as much, that becomes second nature, that feels normal. Now you can go on and make other cuts in your budget to continue to reduce it down to get into the 50, 30, 20 buckets. Okay, step 3 is to put it into action. You've done all this planning, your bucket's set up, your 50, 30, 20 set up. Now let's put it into action. And ideally this starts on the first of the month. You don't have to, but I would recommend starting it at the first of the month. If for no other reason, it's symbolic. You'll kind of feel the momentum building as you're getting close to that first of the month. And what you can do in the meantime, if you have a couple of weeks until the first of the next month, you can use that to kind of practice. If you know that you're going to need to cut down $200 from your wants, try start making your lunch. Try to not go to the movies as much. Try to curb that spending a little bit slowly so it's not a shock to the system. And then when the first of the month hits, you can say, okay, it's game time. This is the real thing. Let's do it. But once you get going, you want to track your spending. So in my case, I'm looking at my credit cards. I'm looking at my checking account. Those are the two areas that I'm really looking at for where's my money going. And when you're just starting out, you could track it every week if you want, but certainly every month, at the end of every month, gather up all your expenses, put them into those 3 areas, and see how you're doing. Get a gauge. If you're way outside and you feel like you're really trying, maybe you're just being too aggressive. So give yourself some leeway. Give yourself some leeway. Don't give up. That's the worst case scenario. Give yourself some leeway. Maybe make a few adjustments to the budget if you really think you're not able to make the adjustments to your lifestyle. But keep going. Keep going. Do not give up. Look at your goals again. Use your goals that you wrote down. Use those as your inspiration. Say, hey, this is what I want to get to. This is where I want to go. And if you look at them and you keep them in mind, that can help you to push through and to be able to stay on track with your budget. Okay, so bonus step, as promised, how to put this plan into overdrive. Now, we were talking about the 50%, the 30%, and the 20%. If you can get to 50, 30, 20, and you've been doing that, here's where you can make it more aggressive. Basically switch the 30% and the 20% And so now what you're doing, you're taking 30% and putting it towards your savings goals, and you're taking 20% for your wants. You don't want to give yourself shock treatment. You want to make this gradual, and you want to get there over time. If you need to spread it over a few months, 6 months, to slowly get the spending down. But that is going to really supercharge your savings, and you will help you achieve your goal faster. The second way you can supercharge this is take that 50% and make that your savings, and then 30% for needs, 20% for wants. Now, you might have to get creative with this, and granted, this sometimes requires just a larger salary. There's just no way to get there on a smaller salary. But I would even challenge you, even if you have a smaller salary, there is still a lot within your power that you can do to get to that 50% savings rate that will really supercharge and get you toward your savings goals faster. This includes big goals like saving for a house, or if you're saving for financial freedom. A lot of folks are talking about financial independence, retire early, and this kind of goes towards what they're doing, saving half of their income. And how is that possible? There are means you can put into place to shape your budget into this. And this includes maybe doing some drastic measures where you move from your current location to another location to reduce your rent, where you decide, I'm going to downsize my car. I have a really large car payment. It's a really nice car. I'm going to sell my car, buy a less expensive car. Maybe you can find a way to completely do without owning a car. I know these are extreme, and these are not things that you do going from one month to the next. It's an evolutionary change that you make over the course of months, where you gradually move into this. It's evolutionary, it's not revolutionary. And this really comes down to how big are those goals, how important are those goals, and how fast you want to achieve them. If this content was helpful for you, I invite you to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and we'll see you on the next video.